Hey, you get another John Stacy Real Talk video. This time coming to you from my car in the parking lot of a Target because I'm waiting for a mobile order my wife placed to be ready. So I wanted to give a little bit of a follow-up thought to some of the things in the Real Talk number 1, which you should watch if you haven't. And basically, one of the hardest things I've struggled with has been convincing people to write for the horn in their in whatever style of music. And this is a lot of this goes a lot deeper than I'm making it sound, and it leads to something that has always been a little bit confusing to me. Because whenever I'm talking to a lot of the people who say that you need to learn the history and don't insert yourself into history, all that stuff, a lot of times they don't really understand that whenever I say I want to play jazz or I want to play this, that I'm not talking about playing music from the 40s, 50s, and 60s and shoving myself into that. No, it's like I'm looking at a lot of the stuff that's happening today, and to give it an example, like stuff that Sam Greenfield does and stuff that Corey Wong does and stuff that a lot of people that are happening today are doing. And I'm looking at it going, what do I need to do to develop my skills, to develop my artistic voice, what do I need to do so that the horn and myself playing the horn can be a part of the music going forward? And getting people to write for the horn is weird because, if they do it at all, they're really confused what to do with it. And it's interesting because I'll see them write these things, and they'll have all these very intricate lines, and they will okay, I'm going to ask and I'm going to learn what the trombone can do. I'm going to write all this stuff for the trombone, and it's going to be idiomatic, but it's going to be, very complicated and intricate, but it's going to be playable and it's going to be awesome. I'm going to do all this work to learn how to write for the trombone. And then saxophone, and they'll kind of be able to say, but what if I do this? And they'll be very inquisitive and very exploratory, and they'll be like, what can the saxophone do? They won't be really worried about what it has done. They'll be asking, what can it do? Can you do this? Can you do this? What happens if you do that? They'll ask those questions about the saxophone, the trumpet, and the trombone, and all the things. But then I say, hey, can I write a part for the French horn? And if they do it, a lot of people, literally, I can see the gears in their head just go because instead of exploring or asking any of those questions, they'll literally be like, I've never heard the horn play in this style of music. What does it do? And what they'll do is, and this is the most common if it's a big band chart, they'll go to Rob McConnell, which, although Rob McConnell is known for writing great horn parts, well, not even great horn parts, including horn parts, it's not really that fun to play as a horn player, because I always remember playing Twinkle Toe with the WT Jazz Band. And basically my experience with Twinkle Toe was 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, bum, 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 and just rest, and then play in the shout chorus. But it's an inner voice that is extremely difficult, because it's whatever it is. I can't remember the chart. It's been a while. But I remember being so defeated by that, because it was like, okay, rest. There's no solo space. I'm not allowed to solo. I have to sit there. Shout chorus, rest to the end. And a lot of McConnell charts are like that. But they won't have this sense of exploration or adventure. It'll literally be, okay, what has the horn done in big bands? Okay, listen to thing. Well, I don't think the horn can do anything, so they won't really try. And, I'll be playing with some arrangers, and they'll be like, writing a smaller group thing. I'm thinking like 2 trumpets, trombone, 1 saxophone, a rhythm section, and I'll add a French horn to that, something like that. And they'll be like doing the same thing. It's like, all right, I did all the stuff, and then the horn, just give them whole notes. And I'm not dissing them for that, but it's always baffled me how I will see very creative arrangers who are obviously very knowledgeable about the art of arranging, obviously very knowledgeable about orchestration and how to write for instruments, and they're very fluent in the language of the style they write in, and it's very impressive. But the instant that you tell them to write for something that's not a trumpet, a trombone, or a saxophone, or a clarinet or a flute, because those are saxophone doubles, or the flugelhorn, because that's a trumpet double, maybe the tuba, anytime that it's not that, they will throw all of that out the window. Instead of playing with it, like I said, and exploring and trying to find, oh, here's what it can do, they'll literally just phone it in and just say, well, the horn hasn't really done anything in the style, so I'm not going to do anything in the style. And that baffles me. That really does baffle me. And, I'm not asking for the solo artist treatment. I'm not asking for, like, okay, I'm going to teach you all about writing for the horn, or any of that. I kind of forgot where I was going with this, but whenever I say that it doesn't matter how many recordings I make, I have done a lot of big band arrangements, and I've made a lot of recordings where I can point to people and say, here's things the horn can do. Like, here's what it can do in big band, and then people won't do it, like, at all. And, it's, if I can convince people to write it at all, But the other thing that kind of bugs me, like, this is one of my pet peeves, is when people take the instrumentation thing and the style thing and they misunderstand the spirit of the music, and they have this insistence of a sound they hear, but it doesn't really seem that that's the case. Because there have been times when somebody's wanting to do a Snarky Puppy style track, and Snarky Puppy isn't an instrumentation. Like, there's no such thing as the Snarky Puppy notation template, and that's what Snarky Puppy is. Snarky Puppy is a specific group of musicians who play in a certain way together, and there's a spirit about those people coming together and collaborating in that way. And they have guests, and they have, subs and all that, but it's like, the spirit of the music is those people coming together, those really strong, independent musical voices coming together and creating something. And so a lot of people, they'll be doing something, and this isn't even consequential. It's not like for an album that's going to be for an award. It's like a video game tribute album that is going to get rev share, and it's not really going to have a really massive life out of its own. And it's not being graded, and there's no entry into the canon, there's no nothing. It's literally just a track for the sake of making a track. And they will not have any idea about what the spirit of the music is. And so they'll write this track, and they'll say, hey, can I play it on French horn? Or can I play it on the mellophone? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, I don't know. You should. And this leads to one of my, like, absolute most hated things. Yeah, just play trumpet just to be safe. Just to be safe. I hate that, because that is so far away from the spirit of all the music. That's not what jazz is. That's not what jazz fusion is. That's not what anything is. So they will be writing a thing, and then whenever you actually listen to the track, it's not actually written in the style of Snarky Puppy. It doesn't actually get that, it may have the kind of vibe-ish, but it's not the feeling of strong independent voices coming together. It's a generic trumpet part, and a generic trombone part, and a generic saxophone part, and pretty generic rhythm section parts. And It's not written for any specific players, and there's no actual room for individual expression in the way that you would have. And it's very, I don't say generic is a bad thing. I don't want that to be an attack or a diss, but you can't say that you're writing a track in the spirit of, or in the style of, and then completely disregard a lot of the things that make that style what it is. I understand that I can't insert myself into history. And I understand that I can't insert myself into a lot of bands that are here now, But at the same time, if you're giving me a part and I'm telling you, the part you're telling me to play on flugelhorn, I can do it on flugelhorn and I will, but it really feels like a French horn part. I'm telling you this as a professional French horn player. I could be so much more in style and so much more expressive if you let me play this part on French horn. I'm telling you this now. And I don't understand why a lot of arrangers will look at me and then say, nah, I understand that you really legitimately are using your judgment as a very experienced performer, and say that this will make your track legitimately better because a lot of the stuff I've done lends itself to the instrument that you have the most experience on. But yeah, none of that. Play it on the flugelhorn. And it's weird how a lot of the times in some of these arrangements, somebody will be like, hey, this tenor sax part goes really low in the range, and I think it would sound better on a bass clarinet. I think it would work better. And it's like, oh yeah, that's just fine. Eric Dolphy did the bass clarinet. You can play that, that's fine. Or, a trombone player, this is actually the one that totally blew my mind. Trombone player is like, hey, I got this thing right here, it's kind of awkward on the slide. Can I play it on the phonium? And it's like, oh yeah, that's neat. But then it's like, this flugelhorn part would sound better on the French horn, and I'd be able to express better. It's like, there's no precedent for that. No. That's what bugs me. And that's the thing about arrangers that absolutely frustrates me, is that a lot of times they claim to have a really strong vision for what they want, but then you actually listen to the finished product, and you listen to the way it's written, and you listen to the way, and they don't really have that strong of a vision. And that's not a negative thing. It's really the disconnect of the vision, the strength of the vision they say they have is nowhere near as strong as the vision that they actually have in practice. And like a lot of times people will claim that, I formed a big band. It's not a big band. It's just the collection of people that I wanted to play. And I'm like, oh, so you're telling me that the collection of people that you wanted to put together to form a band, that's not a big band, it's a collection of individuals that are coming together to play in the style. You're telling me that you put all of these friends together and you just happen to have exactly 5 saxophones, 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, and 4 rhythm section? You're telling me that you the spirit of the music of a bunch of individual strong musical voices coming together and wanting to create something new and spectacular conforms to a standard instrumentation? I don't buy that. It's fine if you want to say this is a big band and it's made up of my friends, but don't say this is just my musical friends coming together and we're making a thing. It's not a big band, it's a collection of my friends. Don't say that if it's a perfect 5-4-4-4. And kind of going forward, with the 5-4-4-4 thing, don't say that you are innovating and making a big leap forward if you're writing for 5-4-4-4 big band, 5 saxes, 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, and 4 rhythm section. Don't say that you're making all these leaps forward and changing the genre if you're going to be writing standard big band music in a pretty standard style without really pushing the envelope. Because then it's not that I feel left out. It's that it makes every time I've been told by that arranger that they have a really strong vision, or it's not a band, it's a bunch of strong individuals that come together to form a band, and basically telling me, no, I'm not going to write you a part. I might write you a part later. It's not in my ear. Arrangers will do that a lot. And the arrangers I respect the most are the ones that'll say, hey, write me a French horn part in your big band. And they'll say no. And I'll say, why? And they'll just say, I really don't want to. That is the best answer I can get, because it's honest, and it actually shows me that the arranger, they know what they want. Because, there have been times that people have wanted to play my big band charts in my arrangements, and these are some arrangers who won't write parts for me because, their artistic vision doesn't include the French horn. Their artistic vision and pushing boundaries with instrumentation and all that confines to a perfect 5/4/4/4. But they'll basically look at my charts and go, hey, can you do some edits for me? And I'm like, sure, what kind of edits? Some of the stuff in my charts is really hard, so I get it. And I'll be like, can you rewrite horn 1 for trumpet and horn 2 for trombone? And I will always say no, because I'm not, if you want to play my charts, you play them as, you have the French horns. Like you have the tuba. You don't get rid of it. Now, if somebody was like, hey, can I play your chart? Can you make some changes? Can you write a second tenor part? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Can you write a fourth trumpet? Can you write a third trombone? I'll make those changes. That's fine. That doesn't go against my vision. I write for the smaller group because I can get people that way. But the challenges of my identity crisis and all this, and getting people to write for me, this is a lot of the stuff I'm talking about, in that I can't convince a lot of people to write parts for me, because a lot of them have this idea that their artistic vision is incredibly strong and well-defined, and it comes across as them like feeling like they need to have that, and feeling like they need to put a lot of weight on basically their artistic vision not being compromised or whatever. And it comes across as very insincere and dishonest. And that is what it is. But, that's one of the big struggles. I don't want this to be an attack on arrangers as a whole. If you don't want to write parts for the French horn, don't do it. And if you don't want to go out of the standard big band instrumentation, sax, trumpet, trombone, or you want to write a thing that's a snarky puppy and style that borrows that instrumentation, or a combo thing, and you don't want to go out of that, that's fine. But say that is the reason. Just say you don't want to include it because that's not what you're doing. Don't make up some big grand BS about your artistic vision and how, I'm not hearing that in my ear because it's literally just, if you don't want to write it, say you don't want to write it. And if you're going to make this big deal about how you don't have a big band, you have a collection of musicians who love playing together, just say it's a big band. Don't say and then it's 5/4/4/4. It's okay to confine to a standard, and it's okay to use a template, and it's okay to do that. You can do that. I give you special permission to. But that's the big challenge in getting people to write for me, is that a lot of times they're so caught up on these things that they won't actually apply the same fun and exploration and adventure that they apply when writing for other instruments to the horn. And I've gotten a few people to actually include the horn permanently in their template, because they were the ones that, after I did a thing, they're like, oh, You can do more than I thought. Let's play around. Let's explore. Can I have a call with you later? Let's talk about this. And they write some pretty neat stuff because they've started to figure out, well, I like it when he does this. I'm going to write more of that. Oh, he can actually play fast. Let's write some stupid fast lines in there. That didn't work as well. Let's try it again. And those are the people that are the most fun because they got the spirit of the music. They don't care what the instruments are. They're literally just like, oh, he has an artistic voice. I'm going to figure out what that is and use it. But anyways, this one kind of went a bit longer than the other. It's already 20 minutes. But if you watched this far, again, thank you. And, I'll catch you guys in the next Real Talk. All right. Bye.